about the cities. New York's the wasting all my time.
Jhon, muchas gracias por la oportunidad de estar en el canal. Como te lo dije en señas desde un principio. Master, Honor, Legend. Démosle un fuerte aplauso porque es un honor para nosotros tener la oportunidad de hablar con ustedes. Que vean que es una trayectoria que vamos a destacar y que muchos medios no han podido pues, reflejar a fondo su carrera. Yo quisiera empezar y tú me complementas, Andrés. Hay una película que lo hiciste en el 77, si no estoy mal, The Goodbye Girl. Es una historia totalmente muy buena sobre cómo la persona va diferenciando todo el contexto de la vida, pero no solo la experiencia en esa historia, hay demás que preguntar a Andrés también y pues obviamente cómo ser dirigido con Herbert Ross.
You started, one of your first roles is in The Goodbye Girl. You know that movie is very important from American cinema. It got Oscar nominations, but you also appeared in another two amazing movies that are the Curious Case of Benjamin Button and this Marvel that in Spanish is called Danza con Lobos, Dance with Wolves. So yeah, not only tell us how was starting back in this amazing movie of The Goodbye Girl and acting in these other two movies, but also tell us how do you feel being directed by authors. You know that these movies are very artsy. They're very serious. They got a very specific way of telling a history. Whatever you want to tell us, go ahead.
We'll start out with The Goodbye Girl. That was one of my first films because I did a lot of work in New York as an actor in theater. And that was a big treat to get into The Goodbye Girl. A friend of mine, Powers Booth, who has since passed away, I met Powers we were both at the American Shakespeare Theater in Stratford, Connecticut. And so it was really nice. There were a few people in there. I can't remember all of them. I go into all sorts of stories about all sorts of things. I remember with Powers Booth, I don't know if you know him. He did Jim Jones in the Guyana tragedy. He died a few years ago. But I remember sitting in a Burger King in New York City with him talking about life and acting. I think it was after we had done The Goodbye Girl. And anyway, I'm moving on into other territories, but I was just pleased to be in that movie. The funny thing is about that movie, what's her name? The lady who played the female lead with Richard Dreyfuss. I was in a class. See, this was what was funny. You know, as a stage actor, and to get into a movie at a young age, a big movie, is a big thing, even in a small part. And I was in an acting class with Marsha Mason, with Milton Katselas, I think, who was a very famous teacher. With all due respect, I'm not going to say anything about Milton, although a lot of people love Milton. They adored Milton. I did not happen to adore him. Anyway, we were doing an improvisation, Marsha and me, and it ended up to be like a lot of, you're a ba-da-da, or you're a da-da-da, well, ba-da-da. You know, I'm sitting there, oh. And then I get this part in The Goodbye Girl and she's married to Neil Simon, the author. And I'm going, oh my God, I hope she doesn't remember me in a bad way. So I was always a little afraid that she was going to say something to Neil, like that mother, that kind of thing. Well, as it did, she never did. And then it was interesting. At the end of the movie, my character as one of the actors and Marsha Mason, she comes to see Richard Dreyfuss. And of course, she's very cordial and I'm cordial and relieved. But that's my goodbye, the Goodbye Girl story. Wow, you took me back on that story. Benjamin Button, I was just pleased. The casting director, Lorraine Mayfield, listen, my feeling is this. I've studied, I went to London, I've studied blah, 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 blah. But anybody, as an actor, anyone who treats you well is golden. I thank God for the casting directors who have, and anyone else, producers, directors who have liked my work. That's why I said hello to you two, because I said, these people, for some reason, they must like my work. Maybe I like them. Anyway, Lorraine Mayfield was very nice, and she brought me in, and, they thought I was right. And David Fincher was really nice to me. I hope to work with him using my own face, because in Benjamin Button, the Buttons did the acting and then they put Brad Pitt's face on our face. So I always say thank you, David and Lorraine, and I hope to use my own face with David someday. But he was very nice. I remember he brought me into The Last Day, and he brought me in for some reason, I don't know. He brought me into his trailer and said, listen, I want to show you what I'm doing. I think that was the last time I saw him. But here's what's funny also about David. I'm also a singer-songwriter. I did an album on RCA, Porch Light On in Oregon. And I had given him a CD of another CD I did called Still Waters, which he really likes. And he told me, I'm going to try to help you with your music. As life goes, I haven't heard from him about that. But the point was, he was very nice. He liked my music. And so that was a very good experience. Okay. So I'm going to end the Benjamin Button. Now we go to Dances with Wolves. Dances with Wolves, of course. Oh my gosh. Elizabeth Lustig, the casting director, brought me in. As a result, of course, Elizabeth Lustig and me. She, however, was in Russia doing a film, and she died. She was hit in a traffic accident. So God bless you, Elizabeth. Meeting Kevin Costner just was great. I have a story about that. I had to go a couple times to get that part, but I used an accent that I had met a lady from a certain Tyler, Texas. I worked on a project, and I said to her, I'd like to tape you because I love your accent. and I taped her, and I learned this accent, and that's the accent I used in as Sergeant Pepper. And so this is getting me memories, memories. So I went into the audition using that accent, and I wanted to keep it. And I was always afraid that Kevin would find out that I was not this person with this accent. You know what I mean? If I talked like this, I thought that way, I thought, well, gee, maybe, so it was a very weird thing. But anyway, he's a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful guy. And I worked with him again in, what was it? The Cuban Missile Crisis. And he thought of having me in Waterworld, but he said, there's not a part that's good enough for you. And I was thinking to myself, wait a second, that if I had been on that film for thousands of weeks, it would have been a lot of money. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I think he's like that. That's what I think. So I've answered your questions about those three films.
De hecho, las canciones son dos. Son increíbles. Eso me recuerda, no sé, me recuerda como esta época de la Navidad en que todos se reúnen en familia. Yo digo que estas dos canciones para mí es como disfrutar entre familia un 24 y un 31, más que todo porque fue en el 71, ¿no? Que se realizaron estas dos canciones y pues me gustaría saber el significado tan importante que tiene Bad Dreams y The Coldness of the Wine. Y también que le menciones sobre lo de la música, sobre lo de Agustín.
Claro. Keaton, I hope you listen to me because I had something to tell you. That is like because we were reading your biography, and we interviewed back in this channel to the producer of The Lady in the Number Six, and we are reading that you are you're familiar from Alitza Sommerhurst, so it's amazing to speak with somebody that is attached to her, because we interviewed back here the producer of that documentary.
You're saying that you interviewed the producer of that documentary?
Yes. Agustin is his name. He's from Cuba.
Well, yeah. Anyway, Alice Hertz Sommer, who is the lady, she was the oldest living Holocaust survivor. That is the first cousin of my mother. My parents came to the United States from Vienna. So all I want to say about them, they are two of the most beautiful people I've ever known. The innocence, the integrity, everything. And my siblings, I feel the same. I feel they will get to heaven sooner than anybody. I said once to a good friend of mine, Erwin Keyes, an actor, he died. He was a wonderful guy. I said, Erwin, when you get there, will you pull me up by the bootstraps? He said, now, I'll try, but you're going to have to do a lot of work yourself. I said, okay. Anyway, regarding the music, you want to know how I created this? I don't know. Music.
Yes, the meaning of these songs, because Jhon loved it. So,
did you like the songs? You like the songs? Okay. God bless you. My first album, Porchlight On in Oregon, I did in 1971, was RCA, and Sony took over RCA and they re-released and remastered Porch Light On in Oregon, which are not they don't contain the songs I sent you, but that was like 50 years after it was released. It is now available on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, Pandora, and YouTube. I mean, it's a rebirth. Music and lyrics, I still, that's of my soul. My father, besides everything else about him, was also, he played viola. And we had chamber music in the house twice a month with the best players in Portland, Oregon. So I grew up and I played cello from the time I was 8 until about 21. And then I started playing guitar. And what happened was I was in school at NYU School of the Arts. I left to do music, and I met with these people from Berklee School of Music, a very famous place here in this country. And all of those people in the rock and roll band were from Berklee School of Music, and they taught me a lot more. So anyway, I don't want to go into the whole thing other than to say I learned a lot. And when I came back to New York, I did a demonstration record for RCA, and they said, we want to sign you. Anyway, the point is, as an actor, you're doing other people's lines. As a songwriter, you compose and you're singing your heart out and your brain out. So I have always, I've always respected and loved music, and I think I'm so glad you like my songs. I chose, this is what's funny. I remember this happened. What happened was when Porch Light On in Oregon came out, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I said, the music business is not a very nice business. I think theater is better, or film. Well, what I found out is both businesses are not so nice. There's a lot of good, but there's not. So if you were to say which is better, but I focused on my acting, but I always kept writing. So that's a long, long answer. All I can say is I'm a romanticist, and it's of the soul. And when you write your own, we'd love to have everybody love it, but it's an expression.
That was a beautiful answer. And by the way, we will share you the interview from Agustin, the producer of that. We will share you the interview from Agustin, the producer of that documentary. And of course, we will share your interview to Agustin when this interview gets published. So he knows that you are a relative of that amazing woman.
Good.
Yeah. Jhon, aprobado por Agustin.
You're asking these questions, and but I'm answering as best I can,
You are doing amazing.
Amazing.
Okay,
amazing.
Good.
Andrés, pregúntale lo de Sander. Hágale la pregunta.
Okay. Now, we interviewed in the channel here to Sander Berkeley. We know that you acted with him in Air Force One.
Yeah.
And you know that you had acted in many action movies. Pearl Harbor, Triple X, Dead Wish 4, Best of the Best, The Alamo. The question is, how do you get that chemistry with your partners so this action genre is still going strong? Because Best of the Best and Triple X is one of the, and And Die Hard 2 is one of the best movies, action movies of history. So how do you get that chemistry with your partners like Sander and all these amazing actors
How do you
in
get
action movies?
how do you get the chemistry with your fellow actor? Is that,
In action movies, yes, in action movies.
I don't know how you do it. You do it. That's a very interesting thing. You see, I studied in London also. And I remember I had already started my stage career in New York. Some people said, "Why are you going to London?" I said, "Well, I'm going to London because, first of all, I got a fellowship. They call it, I had tried, anyway, it's called the ITT International Fellowship in the Fulbright competition. So they're paying my way. And I said, I'm doing it because I want to learn more. I want to learn more. I had, the Actors Studio, the Actors Studio in New York? The Method, you've heard the Method? Okay, I'm a member of the Actors Studio, but I had not, that happened later, but I'd already learned the quote method. I studied with many teachers in America. I wanted to, broaden. It's the same reason I studied dance as a younger man. I got scholarships to Jacob's Pillow, the foremost modern dance ballet school. Why do you do that? Because to me, an actor should be able to do everything. I don't know why I'm saying all this. I lost track of why I'm telling you. What was your question?
No, in fact, you are telling this because you don't know how to, and you say that.
So when you get to what you're saying, my point is, you see, if you are that blessed to have some talent, but you're also blessed to have knowledge of this, that, whatever you're doing, you're going to do as hopefully organically and non-organically, but somehow you're going to find from all that you've learned, you're going to pick whatever. And then, of course, it becomes a question of the chemistry between you and the other actor, too. That, of course, is very important. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's about as best I got.
Answers perfect because we know now that your background in dancing, so it's great. We know that. Amazing answer.
Hay que mencionarles sobre, bueno, 2 series de televisión. Bueno, ya mostraste Danza con Lobos, yo muestro Jhon, Automan. Es una de mis series favoritas y también, obviamente no lo tengo, pero tuvimos la oportunidad de hablar con Angie Di Gracia, con Die of Our Lives, que es algo sobre la nostalgia. ¿Cómo usted considera la nostalgia en el cine? Y también que me hable sobre Automan. My favorite series.
That is an old thing, Automan. I was in that. I don't even remember that. I don't even remember what I did in that. But that's funny. That's funny that you hold up Automan. But what was he asking about Automan?
Okay. In fact, I will tell Jhon that you don't remember your part. Dice que él no se acuerda ni siquiera que hizo un Automan, cualquier cosa lo puede recordar. The question is about Automan and Days of Our Lives that are about nostalgic. How do you feel with this subject? Because yes, it's crazy that you had appeared in this series that we brought it with the nostalgics. So, how do you deal with the subject of nostalgics? Automan, Days of Our Lives, all movies, all series.
I have no idea. Looking back on it, you know, you do the best you can. You know, listen, I'll tell you something. I sent you, I don't know if you saw, but, you know, I'm also have written several little short films, and I have co-written now a play that you can find on, if you look, it's called Bob and Les, L-E-S. And I wrote it with someone else. You could Google it and you could find it on Vimeo or YouTube. The point is, and I also have a short film called The Understudy that is a comedy that the late John Polito, do you know that actor? Or Martin Landau, the late Martin Landau. Stacy Keach loves it. Anyway, the point is, I'm going to try to shoot it. But my main point is, so I'm a writer. Besides a songwriter, I'm a writer of sorts. But regarding Automan, and God bless Automan, but the task of the actor, listen, when, you know, the beautiful theater of the American theater, Eugene O'Neill, Long Day's Journey into Night, Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller, this elevated, beautiful words. It's very rare to find such beauty of words it happens in film and television. It just is. So, and whenever you have that, I worked with somebody who I thought, I mean, many people, but there's one guy, John Lee Hancock. I did several films. I did his first film. He's a beautiful writer and director. It's very rare, though, when you get really beautiful writing. And so the task, a lot of times, of the actor in film and television is to make beautiful music out of not so beautiful. But that's your task, is to make it wonderful. And I'm not saying Automan was not wonderful, but, you know, it's just always beautiful when you get beautiful writing, because, you know what I mean? You can sing with beautiful writing. And so anyone who's a beautiful writer, and there are, it's so beautiful for the actor.
And I am happy that you mentioned your work with John Lee Hancock, because I love his version of the Alamo. It's beautiful. And
Oh,
I know.
you see, this is very interesting. That's why reading critics, only until you see the movie, you see what you think. Because a lot of people didn't like it so much. But that doesn't mean it was bad. Look at you, you know what I'm saying? Hey, if you get a chance to interview him, I bet that would be a lot of fun. He might. You might try to contact him. He's a very wonderful guy.
I will tell John, because I really love a lot of movies that he made. The Alamo, The Founder, The Little Things, The Highwayman. I will tell John, in fact, John, dices que si tú te consigues a John Lee Hancock, el que lo dirigió obviamente en el Álamo, que es una persona muy amable, y que él dice que incluso le gustaría que dijéramos lo que él dijo acá, que es un director que escribe muy bello, que hace poesía en el cine comercial. John, te dejo la tarea, y obviamente, ojalá esté Ton, imagínate.
Hay dos historias que sí te quiero preguntar, Ton, que es sobre cómo usted puede diferenciar o puede, desde su perspectiva, hablar sobre los personajes políticos. Eres muy conocido sobre hacer roles icónicos, pero hay dos que la verdad yo te quiero dar las gracias. Te quiero dar las gracias, y es el personaje que obviamente tú haces junto con algunas escenas con Brad Pitt, y también por hacer de Undercade en Mi Amigo. Es sumamente impresionante, impresionante.
¿De cómo él asume la política o esos roles en específico?
Esos roles en específico, si la experiencia con Brad Pitt, sí, no sé.
Okay. John is asking about these particular roles. Josh Harper in Too Young to Die with Brad Pitt and Order Kale and Mi Amigo. So anything that you can tell us about this project?
Elroy in Mi Amigo? No,
Yes.
wait a
Mi
second.
Amigo in Too Young to Die.
Wait a second. Mi Amigo.
Con Josh Holloway.
Just Holloway.
Josh Holloway. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait a second. Oh, okay. Okay. Too Young to Die and Mi Amigo.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say Vaya con Dios, which was the first film that I did with John Lee Hancock. They called it Hard Time Romance, but that's not what you're asking. Okay,
So do you want to talk about that role? Go ahead.
You want me to talk about those? Oh, yes, I do want to talk. I'll talk about all three.
Yes, go ahead.
This is for free, and you're not even paying me, but I'm not paying you. It's wonderful. Too Young to Die. I did a lot of television movies with a wonderful guy, producer, Frank von Zernick. He was partnered with a guy named Robert Sertner. I don't know, at some point they kind of separated. But Too Young to Die was one of the television movies I did with von Sertner. And I just have to say, you see, there was a lady, what was her name? I don't know. I lose track of the names. Anyway, the casting director said, every time they do a movie, they have you, and I said, hey, that is so beautiful. For an actor, either to be offered a role without auditioning or to make the entire process easy is so beautiful. To have fans, you know what I mean? If you work with, I'm getting a little emotional. When you work with the same director or the same producers and they respect you and like you, in this world, as we know, all through the world of disrespect, having respect and love is a beautiful thing. So I want to say thank you, Frank von Zernick. I also did the Elizabeth Smart story. Do you remember that one? Where I played the, what do you call it? The kidnapper, the religious kidnapper of Elizabeth Smart. And that was another von Zernick thing. So Frank von Zernick. Anyway, so as far as the role itself, it was a role. I don't know. I mean, I was doing my thing, and there was Brad Pitt and Julia, whatever her name is, nice actress. But anyway, I didn't meet Brad. I mean, we didn't socialize or anything. But I just thank Frank von Zernick. Now, regarding the other two films, Mi Amigo was a beautiful experience. Burton Gilliam, Ed Bruce, a very well-known, wonderful actor, country singer, and several other people. I was thrilled to get that. And did you ever see the movie or not? I don't know if you ever saw it. Well, Milton Brown, who wrote it and directed it, I probably was doing another movie. They were probably doing one movie, and because I had this version of this character, which I had a lot of fun doing. It seemed a little bit different from what everyone else was doing, but I was happy to do it. I was happy. Oh, but the thing was, this is what's interesting. Mi Amigo had a very limited release. It was like, and Josh Holloway, I met him several times, and then he became Josh Holloway. And I never heard much from him. I spoke to him a little bit. Very nice guy, but but what's the point? The point is, I was very happy to do it, but I was sad that the movie never, people didn't really see it. Now, Hard Time Romance was John Lee Hancock's first film. It was called Vaya con Dios, and that was with Mariska Hargitay and myself and Leon Rippey. Leon Rippey is a beautiful friend of mine still. And what happened on that movie was Leon was a friend of John Lee. And he said to John Lee, I know an actor. And I just come off of Dances with Wolves, so I had a little bit of something. And John Lee thought, wow. And he said, great. And I said, great. And it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. The movie never saw the light of day. It never even got a DVD release. Nobody's seen it. The funny thing, I'm sorry, and I know you think this is so funny. Neither movie, I had huge parts in each movie. And I had my little idiosyncrasies and my bullshit and my crap and my this and my talent and my and nobody really ever saw them. They saw a little bit more of Mi Amigo, but the John Lee Hancock film, nobody's ever seen. And it was great. This is what happens. I'll say one more thing. I was in a play once. This reminds me of a play that I did in New York. We did it at a very well-known theater, St. Clement's Theater. It was called Carnival of Glory. All actors auditioned for this. It was a huge, beautiful, poetic part, huge, beautiful monologues, and I got the role. And the author, who's a friend of mine, or who became a friend of mine, Joe Hindi, didn't want, God bless him, to open it to the critics. But everybody and his brother saw it. David Bowie, Al Pacino, everybody. But it was never open to the critics. So, what I'm trying to say is, some of my best work was only limitedly seen. And that's life. I'm not going to cry about it, but I'll tell you one thing. I really appreciate you two. I don't even know you. But I appreciate my education and my talent. And that's life. I mean, look at all the artists, painters, composers. And to this day, and they're not recognized really in their own lifetime. I'm very appreciative of whatever recognition I've gotten. But I just, it's just funny. Life is funny about that. Do you know what I mean? Look at all the beautiful poets from your country You're from Colombia, right? Look at all the beautiful poets and playwrights and who've been recognized and the ones who are not recognized. So whatever recognition I have to be grateful for. But like, for instance, regarding my estimation of my talent is based on my education and my God-given talent. But that's my opinion. I'm grateful. And this is life. Singer-songwriters, poets, sculptors. So you have to be grateful because look at all the people who never even really attained much success and still were beautiful. And God knows it. Maybe one day everyone will know it and maybe not. But it's the journey. I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but I'm glad I'm telling you because, you know, I'll tell you something. This is of my soul, what we're talking about. And I'm glad it's going to be, what do you call it, recorded. And that's it.
Pues obviamente sabemos de que es algo sobre LEATHERFACE. ¿Cómo usted visualiza actualmente el cine de terror?
Okay, this is the final. You appear in one of the final chapter of Friday the 13th, in Leatherface, and Tremors 3. So, and we love horror movies. What is your vision about the terror? As an actor, doing these productions, as the movies right now? That's the last question. Go ahead.
But I have to say, Leatherface and Prison. Prison was directed by Rennie Harlan. Let's see. I think I did Prison before. That was with Viggo Mortensen. I've worked with Viggo Mortensen in Prison and in Leatherface. I sent him a postcard once, a few years ago. I didn't hear from him for a year and a half, and all of a sudden I got a postcard from Spain saying hello. Anyway, I was happy to. This is a good one about Prison. Prison. Erwin Yablans was the producer of Prison, and he said to me, he said, you know, that scene, that didn't seem real. I said, well, I thought it seemed real. He said, well, I didn't. Then they edited the movie and he came up to me, you know, that scene was real. I'm sorry. But anyway, it was nice working with Rennie Harlan. I was pleased to have the role. Leatherface was directed by Jeff Burr, who is still a friend of mine. And he came up to me and he said, I would like to do this. And I read the script and, you know, it's a lot of horror and a lot of all this. And what ended up happening was that I was able to rewrite my character. I'm not saying, I mean, I rewrote it a lot. And therefore, what you see in Leatherface is a lot are my lines. And I felt as a result so organic with this character. Jeff Burr, God bless him, he respected me. So did Kevin Costner, and so did blah, 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 blah. But he respected me and allowed me. And you know, when you as an actor are given this kind of freedom, you know, the creation is wonderful. So I don't like that kind of movie. I really don't. But what I do like, I'm actually recognized a lot for Leatherface more than my other stuff. You know, I mean, I was in some place and some guy comes up to me. I'm dressed in my glasses. I'm looking like a little schmuck. He goes, "You're in Leatherface." I said, "How did you recognize me?" He said, "I don't know." I was like, "Oh my God." Anyway, but you know, I've been invited a lot to to go to the horror conventions, and I don't want to. My friend Erwin Keyes did a lot of this. He said, "Oh, I like it." I said, "I don't like it." Because anyway, the point is, the freedom I had in Leatherface was based on the freedom of my creation of the character, also regarding the writing, you know? So, but as far as that kind of film, it's not my cup of tea. How many people have you done? How many people have you interviewed?
That's a great question. Jhon, ¿cuántas personas hemos entrevistado? Bueno, hemos porque yo he estado en algunas, pero no en todas.
Sí.
Ah.
Bueno, si le digo de mi parte o del canal del canal Jhon,
How many?
sin mentirle, 415, si no estoy mal.
Like 415.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
Well, hey, God bless you, and blah, 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 okay?
Yes.
All right,
Dios te
so,
bendiga.
so what am I going to have to, okay, I say leave? Okay, I'll leave, and we'll be in touch, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. And like John Lee Hancock said, vaya con Dios. Vaya con Dios.
Vaya con Dios.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. God bless you.
Remake our hearts in sweet affair.